New Mexico State needs to climb back in this thing for me.
Wake up.
Got a pretty
Everybody
good ball.
okay?
Oh, good. I'm just sharing. I'm sharing the.
Do you hear a screaming child? That'd be mine.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Oh, I
That.
That
didn't.
would that
Yeah.
would be mine.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be carving pumpkins right now, so I don't know. So what could go wrong, right?
Yeah, dude. You know those? Do you have like the pumpkin carving kit?
Yeah, we got one
Yeah.
over the weekend.
I think like back in the day, like we used to just go at it with like a knife.
Well, that's what I told. Like that's what I was saying. She was talking about on Sunday, like going to get a kit, and I was like, why don't we just use a Sharpie and, and a knife?
Well, dude, I'll tell you what, man. I did one with the stencil or whatever.
Oh
Best
yeah,
pumpkin I ever carved. But the kit, like, there's like 5 of the same little mini saw in there, and I'm a little confused as to what I'm supposed to use for what. And then the little shovels they give you don't work. So I'm in there with a pair of tongs from the grill, just like pulling stuff out. I also saw you can use a mixer, and it'll like
that's smart.
clean it out pretty good.
Yeah, that's smart.
Takes all the fun out of it.
That's right. Yeah, reach
get
in there
with the hands.
like Cam reach
and
in there with his
nails.
hands, pull it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read you, man.
Don't be one of those guys, Sprouse.
One of what guys? Buddy, no.
Wissification of America, guys.
Efficient, time saving.
I do have a tip for you gentlemen. For all people, I know we're not technically on air, but we are live streaming. So, we did the pumpkin on our little kitchen island. Tip for life, boys and girls. Get you some saran wrap, and you saran wrap the entire top of the kitchen island. And then that way, when you're done carving pumpkins or you're done eating pudding or Jell-O or whatever, you just take that saran wrap, toss it in the trash, and that countertop is good as new, my friends.
I got heavy-duty foil from the deli that I do that with.
Well, we don't all own delis, Jeff, so sometimes you just got to use Dollar Tree.
They sell foil at the grocery store, Sprouse. It's not just
you act like heavy duty, like it was some kind of like only I could get this because I own a deli.
No, I do have. It's like a 60-inch wide roll, so my sheets are like super wide. I just roll them out.
It's pretty good, man. That is pretty good. What are you guys gonna be? What are your kids being for Halloween?
Morgan Post says big brain, Sprouse.
You know what, Morgan? You've been calling in for 2 weeks, and now you think you can take shots at me.
I think he's legitimately giving you a compliment.
Was it a compliment? I thought he was being a smart.
No.
This guy's trying to be nice, give you a compliment. You're about to kick the guy out of the live chat.
Hey.
Well, you're welcome, Morgan. I try to give advice as much as I can. As you guys know, I am the dad of the group. What are your kids being for Halloween, by the way, gents? Anything?
We're being
Nick Vadiato.
Yeah.
You being who? Are you being?
Yeah. So we all got like wrestling masks and stuff. They're big into wrestling. AEW.
Are you being one too?
I'll have a mask on. I'm gonna have the Nacho Libre, so I'm gonna have like the short cutoff sweater with my belly hanging out.
Nice.
Tip. What about what are the Tiptons being?
I think TJ's gonna be like some Space Ranger costume that he found at Costco, but it's not like Buzz Lightyear. But he saw something that he liked at Costco, so
go for it.
He picked that thing out like 2 months ago.
No, that's big time.
I think I think she's gonna be some kind of like princess. I think she got a princess costume from Costco.
Are you dressing up? Or are you gonna?
Probably not.
Come on, man.
Tyler,
we're being.
I don't know. I'll find something.
The Sprouses are being Power Rangers. I am the green one.
There you go. We were that a couple years ago.
I think Cam is the red one. Lauren, of course, is the pink one. I don't really know what little Jace is wearing. He's got to wear something, but
I'll find something to wear. I'll find something.
The blue one.
It might be, dude. I don't even know. They're back. Yeah, they're coming back. Power Rangers, right? Like kids watch them again.
Yeah, they're all on Netflix, so who knows?
Huh? How about that?
Like all the old episodes?
No, I think like new. I think.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I
don't either.
I don't know what. I mean, we're still. I don't know what we're watching these days. We got some new guy, Go Danny. Have you guys heard of him?
Yeah.
He's pretty cool. He's like a poor man's Blippy, but he's
Seen
kind of like
Go-
a
Go
redneck
Danny, yeah.
Blippy. But,
Can't say that I've seen that guy.
well, Jeff, wait till Lou gets a hold of it. Wait till Lou finds Go Danny on TV, and then you're stuck with it. There's also some British fella
Only
that
thing he's watching is Go
wrestling
Daddy,
and-
the
and
old
football.
commercials with Danica Patrick.
Well,
Wow.
good parenting, Jeff. You ready to go live or what?
Let's do it.
I have had a couple bad intros in a row, so let me hope I can fix it now. I'm putting pressure on myself.
Well, knock it out.
Tell me when, Jeff.
You're good whenever you are.
Welcome into the #1 Group of 5 football podcast in all of the universe. This is the Group of 5 guys. Our mission is to be the voice for the Group of 5 football programs that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to do. We need everybody's help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of 5 Guys. Go to group5guys.com. You can help us out, get you some Group of 5 Guys swag. We got golf polos, hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, beanies, sweatpants, I think, too. All your cold gear on there. Or you can go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you stream your best podcast. Subscribe to the Group of 5 Guys channel. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. In this episode, we are going to recap our incredible visit to Oxford, Ohio, and Miami University. We'll recap that game versus Toledo, recap all the games from the weekend, and preview some of the midweek games. Plenty more where that came from. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
Lee Corso is a guy who had a retirement party 10 years ago, and yet he still won't leave the office.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible. The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of 5.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
I really appreciate you do for the Group of 5 programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of 5 because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
I appreciate what you guys do, truthfully, covering the Group of 5. Y'all said it earlier, but the Sun Belt to me is college football.
What a time the three of us had in Oxford, Ohio, boys and girls. I mean, I saw it on Twitter today. I saw some people saying, what a sleeping giant, if you will, in the Group of 5 in Oxford. I mean, just an awesome campus, awesome football facilities, a great town, downtown. It's pretty much on campus is the downtown. Kind of the perfect recipe for what should be a really good Group of 5 football town. Now, they got some work to do to connect the town of Oxford and the business owners in Oxford to that football program. But, man, I got to tell you, everybody we met over there, everybody we got a chance to hang out with, just good people. Man, we find that all over the country, right? Football people are just good people. I mean, there's really – I can't think of anywhere we've went where we walk away being like, didn't like that guy. I mean, I don't know. And if we did, we probably wouldn't say it anyway. But the people of Oxford were great, man. I can't tell you what a good time I had. Jeff, we've got people in the live chat. Do we want to kick them over to YouTube?
Yeah, we got some, the YouTube live chat is going. We got Joe Judkins in there. Morgan Post is in there. A few other guys that are hopping in. So if you're watching on Twitter, on Facebook, and you want to be a part of the live show, come over there, join the live chat. It's always a good time. A lot of people going back and forth. And if you got some good points, if we come across it, I will shout it out on the show and shout you out on the show. So come over to YouTube. Trying to really grow that YouTube following as well. And just to echo what you said, Sprouse, yeah, everybody we met in Oxford was just awesome. Great hosts, from some of the Greeks that we met to the parents of players and former players, and I mean it's just top notch. And then all the staff and admin that took care of us,
100%.
At the university, the football team, and it was just fantastic trip.
Yeah, shout out to Dave. Originally, we reached out to Cody, gave us the facilities tour Friday night. Lindsay helped us with, setting up where we were going to set up at. So huge shout out to those three. Couldn't have done any of it without everybody's help. Recommendation for anybody traveling to Oxford at any point: avoid any hotels in the northwest Cincinnati region, maybe called Days Inn. Maybe want to avoid. You maybe want to. Maybe if you're looking at your budgets, you're trying to figure out this trip. You might want to just take away some funds from something else. But I think you need to splurge on the hotel scenario. There ain't much near Oxford. There's a little town called Hamilton that's got some good stuff, but everything is high dollar in those parts of the state. But you can find some cheap stuff in Cincinnati. And let me tell you, we saw the same guy sitting on the front there at the hotel every time we got back to the hotel, whether it was 10 in the morning, 10 at night, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the morning. That same guy was just hanging out there. So anyway, it was a good time. Highly recommend finding somewhere early in Oxford. But I want to dig into that a little bit more, but real quick, just from the weekend, guys, most surprising storyline, biggest, shocker of the weekend. I'll kick it to you first, Jeff. What do you got? What surprised you the most from Saturday?
I'm going to go a team we don't talk about very much on this podcast just because they've had some rough years the past couple, but the New Mexico Lobos put up 42 points against Hawaii. Dylan Hopkins, quarterback transferred from UAB, had a big day, 202 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then that Lobo defense had 4 total turnovers. 3 of them were interceptions. So shout out to New Mexico, having a big win, putting up a lot of points, and getting some turnovers.
Yeah, 100%. Tip, what about you?
I'm going to go out to the Mountain West where biggest shocker I saw, San Diego State not scoring a single point against Nevada. You had a missed field goal in the first half. They turned it over on downs a couple of times, a ton of punts and a fumble, at the end of the game. But got to give credit to Nevada's defense. We've been talking about in recent weeks how San Diego State's offense has been gradually getting better every single week, and then they just laid an egg this week. Didn't score a single point this week against Nevada.
6-0. I know you got the Major League Base. I know you got the ALCS and NLCS or whatever you got going on these days. But 6-0. I mean, that is brutal. San Diego State is not in a good spot right now. I mean, they tried to get out of the Mountain West. It didn't really work out how they wanted to. They got a brand new stadium that unfortunately has been empty other than their very first game. And now, you're seems like you're regressing a little bit as a team. The fan base that they do have is, calling for Brady Hoke's head, which, by the way, I mean, I think we did a poll. I think it was something like 37% of fans want their coach fired. So, hey, look, you're going to have 37% of fired coaches available. So you guys can just kind of switch around, get another fired coach to come over. But, I was going to go that way too, Tip, with Nevada, San Diego State. But then I'm going to go kind of, I wouldn't call it necessarily a surprise, but an unfortunate storyline. Ambulance coming on the field, both for Grayson McCall at Coastal and for Brett Gabbard at Miami. Brett Gabbard, it appeared to be, I know he had surgery. I know they put a pin in his leg. So something serious with that. And then McCall, saw Tim Beck said it was precautionary, but concussion protocol. That's always scary, man, when they bring the ambulance out. And I don't know if that's like a new protocol or new procedure that they're supposed to do. But boy, does it make it seem like the injuries are really bad when the ambulance comes backing out. I mean, it's dead silent, and then you just see the ambulance. You hear the backup, alarm, and they pull out there. But hopefully both of those guys are on the track to recovery. It seems like they both are. And then side note, the Marshall kid I saw from Thursday night was out of the hospital doing well. He had sunglasses on, so it seemed like he's in concussion protocol too. But his was another one, man. I mean, that guy, he was down for a long time. And then you go back to that DeMar Hamlin situation, and now every time somebody's down for a while, I'm panicking a little bit inside. I'm like a little duck on a pond, inside. I'm thinking, hey, dude, I hope they doing CPR on this kid? Are they, trying to revive somebody or what? And then, I wish you could get the thumbs up, like from a trainer, like way earlier. Like, hey, it's going to be a while, but, kid's alive. You know what I mean?
Well, I just think they probably can't do that because, the thumbs up can be interpreted different ways to different people. Like, so they just try and take it slow, especially when you got neck and spinal injuries. You can further do damage by moving somebody in an awkward way. So that's why they just take their time with it.
Yeah. So, but definitely unfortunate for Gabbert and McCall. I mean, Gabbert surely is going to be out for the rest of the year, and then McCall, I think they didn't rule him out for this weekend. So I'd be shocked if he played already, but maybe. I mean, hopefully he clears protocol pretty quick. But anyway, back to Miami University. So let's just talk about this. Let's talk about this trip a little bit here. So, Friday, Jeff and I get in there. We get the facilities tour. Listen, they got facilities that are on par with the best. Definitely in the group of 5. We haven't seen everybody's in the MAC, but they've got to be top 1 or 2 in the MAC. And then, in the group of 5, I mean, I thought they were on par with the UABs, the UTSAs of the world. I mean, that indoor is the nicest one. Full 100 yards, high enough to punt. I mean, you can't get that. You can't get that anywhere. And then, the great thing, too, for them is it's pretty much football only, that entire little complex right there. So you got your indoor, you got your weight room, you got all the coaches' offices, all the meeting rooms, you got the locker room and the stadium just all in one compact area. So just really convenient, really functional for those guys. But weight room's big time, all the Sorinex equipment. Only negative, I say it's a little small, the weight room, I guess. But, I mean, I think you can probably get half the team in there. I mean, meeting rooms, got the theater-style seats, the Miami red seats. And then pretty cool. You don't really, something you don't think about is that cradle of coaches. I mean, just a big – I mean, we saw that wall, Jeff. I mean, what was it? How many straight years were they at a coach or a player in the Super Bowl? Like something outrageous.
Yeah, it was double digits. It was crazy how many coaches have come through there. And Sean McVay, I can't think. I don't know. He's leaving my name.
John Harbaugh.
Yeah, John Harbaugh.
Schembechler.
Yeah, so many coaches.
He had Sean Payton on the wall too, which I didn't know where he fit in, but they may need to quit claiming that guy. Yeah, just really cool. I mean, the stadium's cool. I think it's just under 30,000, open on both ends. So you got your football complex in the one end zone, and then you got a completely open with the scoreboard and the cradle of coaches in the other end zone. But yeah, I think it's the right size, and I mean they didn't fill it. They've got some culture concerns, I would say, like with the student body. Where, I think everybody that we talked to after the game, after they lost, was like, well, yeah, now the whole fan base is going to just fall off. And it's like, why? You're 6-2. Yeah. Still got everything. If you beat Ohio this weekend, you're going to get a rematch with Toledo more than likely. So, just that's the thing that bothers me. And that right there is kind of the group of 5. It's the sickness in the group of 5, right? Like, nobody's jumping off, and everybody was going to Columbus, or everybody was watching the Ohio State game, is what they claimed. But if Ohio State would have lost, nobody was going to jump off that bandwagon. And part of that is because the media is not going to jump off the bandwagon either, and they're going to keep them in the top 10. So, but for Miami, you got everything right in front of you. You got a 6-1 team. Their fans were disappointed in the tailgate turnout and the attendance turnout. Now, I thought the tailgate turnout was pretty good. I mean, I don't think you're going to find a whole lot better than that.
Hadn't been to Toledo yet.
No, hadn't been to Toledo, and Toledo's got the biggest brand. They got the biggest brand in the MAC. So,
well, here's part of the problem. They need to talk to Brick Street, this beat the clock thing they got going on. It's like $1 pitchers at 1, then at 2 o'clock it goes to $2, and I think it works keeps going up.
Yeah, I think
you can get a pitcher
like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, which is awesome, but it's like you got to do something to get those kids to stay at the game a little bit.
Well, you know, and it's almost like I think me and Tip were talking, or me and James. By the way, shout out to James. That guy gave us a tour of the city after the game, and that guy was big time, man. Can't thank you enough either. We won't reveal your alias on the air, but so you know, we were talking, and you know what, like, you've got to have, like, the powers that be have just got to come together in those situations, because you got everybody, they're still in Oxford, all those kids, like, they're still in town. You literally could walk. I mean, because Tip and I did it after the game. You literally could walk from Brick Street to the stadium. It's probably a 15-minute walk, and it's less than a mile. So they're still in Oxford. They're still within a mile of campus. They're watching the game on a big screen. You got to get them in the stadium. You got to get them in the stadium, because here's the deal. The crowd that was there, I mean, in the last, you know, at the end of the fourth quarter, I mean, Miami's defense stopped Toledo 3 or 4 times in a row. Well, really, they stopped them every time in the second half, but especially late with a chance to win. And, you know, what crowd was in there, it did help. I mean, we were standing underneath the student section for that second half, and they had them stupid vuvuzelas or whatever they are, them little soccer horn things. Boy, those were annoying, but they were loud. I mean, it was pretty loud where me and Tip couldn't have a conversation right below them, and that was probably with 15 or 16,000 in that stadium. So, you know, you got to think if you added another 2,000-3,000 even, it would make a huge difference, and you just wish they would. So you wish that the AD and the president and the owner of that bar could find out a way to, I don't know, to make something work. Now, if you're the bar owner, obviously he's making a killing on Saturdays. So he's running a business. He's not running a charity or anything like that. So got to figure something out right there. But then, you know, Jeff and I ate at Mac and Joe's, really cool place. Food was really good. Just kind of a cool little old school type of little dive bar.
A little hole in the wall.
Yeah, a little hole in the wall. It looked like a speakeasy. It's in this back alley. See the main entrance. You walk in there. You got to go right upstairs.
Safest back alley, Sprouse, we've ever walked down in our entire lives. I know. I had no concern for our safety
Not
whatsoever.
a single concern. We had no idea where we were. It was cold. There was a bunch of drunks in the alley sitting on the stoop. And me and Jeff were like, buddy, I'm not worried at all. I don't have one concern at all in this back alley. Now, a couple weeks ago, if that alley was located in Memphis, Tennessee, I would have found the closest pawn shop and got myself strapped up, because it wouldn't have been going well. But yeah, good spot, Mac and Joe's. Then, you know, after the game, Tip and I did a little bar tour as we watched like the late games. So we went to Brick Street. It's a cool place. I mean, I don't blame people for going there. I mean, you get there early enough, and it's just like a regular sports bar, really. I mean, they got a ton of TVs. And you can pretty much stand at the bar, or they got that little upstairs. So me and Tip went there for a little while, watched most of the games, and then we went to 2 other places. CJ's is Jeff, it's like your gyms. It's like the hole in the wall college bar. But every single place in that town was slammed, shoulder to shoulder. Like, I mean, if you're a college kid, man, I don't know. Find me somewhere better than that. I don't know, because I don't know we didn't go to all of them, but there's 4 or 5, maybe 6 bars, and every single one of them, shoulder to shoulder, packed. I mean, and this was as early as, you know, 8:30, and I mean, me and Tip were back in Cincinnati by midnight. So like, there's no telling what it was like at 1 a.m. But I mean, just some cool spots, and then later in the night,
after CJ's, we went to Corners.
Corner bar,
and then we wanted to watch the end of a game that they didn't have on TV there, so we went back to Brick Street to watch it. Which it was the end of that. It was the end of that App State game. That's right. But all 3 of those places are all within like walking distance. I'm talking like super close.
Oh yeah, everything, and which are all walking distance from the stadium. And then, you know, probably, I don't know what time it was, like 10:30 or 10. that Brick Street place, all of a sudden the lights go down a little bit. DJ starts playing. Me and Tip were like, we got to get out of here quick. And then so,
Felt like you were back in South Florida, huh, Sprouse?
I did. He started playing Pep Us on the DJ. I got a little shake in the shoulders, but no, just a cool spot, man. Just a cool town altogether. Can't thank everybody enough, but if you're a college kid, if you're a high school athlete, like looking for a place to go, man, I mean, be a tough place to beat. That would be a tough place to beat because the thing, a lot of the smaller college towns, like they're cool, but they really only have like one place to go on the weekend or maybe two places to go. I mean, even Murfreesboro, you have gyms and you had Whiskey Dicks.
That was it.
And that was it. And then, and as big as Murfreesboro is, I mean, that's still really all you got as far as I know. But, I mean, they got a ton of places. They're all walking distance. All the fraternities live, like, on campus or in that downtown area. So there's hardly any driving. I mean, just a great – it's like a I don't know, like a manufactured town, like just centered around the university. But it's cool. Great. But anyway, let's talk about the game. Toledo about collapsed. What you got, Jeff?
No, I was going to say just real quick, wanted to give a score update because if you're watching this show, we got two games going on.
Right.
At halftime, New Mexico State is down 16-10 against Louisiana Tech, and 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Liberty is up 13-10 on Western Kentucky.
Huge game there, Liberty and Western.
Yeah, a lot of
implications. Western. If Western wins that game, then I mean you're setting up for. I think Liberty's still okay because Liberty's got the head-to-head win against everybody else already. But if Liberty wins, that pretty much seals the deal. Liberty will host. Western will have 2 losses. Liberty's already got a head-to-head against New Mexico State, against Middle, against anybody else that's in contention. I don't know. But so Toledo jumped out to, what was it? 21-3 at halftime?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's funny because me and Tip ran into old Dan Savage at halftime, and he was like, man, we've seen it all before. This game's not over. And I'm thinking like, because, dude, it was 14-3, and me and Tip were like, this game's about over. If they score again, it's definitely over.
Yeah, that's when they were driving and late in the second quarter. It's like, if they score a touchdown here, I'm like, it might be game over. Like, just the way they were playing in that first half. And Dan warned us.
Well, he did.
He told us that, nope, I've seen this second half collapse before. This game is not over.
He did, and truth be told, I think if Gabbert doesn't get hurt, I do think Miami comes back and wins that game because when he got hurt, it was on they were on the 2-yard line, so they ended up still scoring on that drive. But then, unfortunately for Miami, they had 3 possessions late where they just couldn't do anything offensively. And I don't know if they were limiting the offensive play calling because of the backup quarterback or what, but it was just rough sledding for the offense after Gabbert went down. But I got to tell you, overall, it's funny because Toledo was dominating the game, but then that second half put a real damper on them for me. I was like, dang, Toledo's the real deal. But then they looked pretty pedestrian in the second half. And so it kind of, that's why I knocked them down. Even after beating a good Miami team, I knocked them down in our little poll because that second half bugged me. But I will say their DBs, big time. Quinyon Mitchell, that play, me and Tip talked about it like 3-4 times. Miami was on the goal line in the first half, and they had that underneath crossing route where dude was running all the way across the entire field, and Mitchell's just right on his tail through traffic. And then, Gabbert, who has a freaking rocket, by the way, tries to zip one in there, and Mitchell just right behind him. No panic at all, Jeff. Just, sticks his backhand in there, deflects it away.
Yeah.
So those guys are big time at Toledo.
And I like to say this too, and I've wanted to see both of these quarterbacks play in person. Like you said, Gabbert has a rifle. Hopefully he gets back. I don't know if he's past his threshold. He might be of getting a medical red shirt if he hadn't already used it before. But got to give credit to Daquan Finn. He made plays when he had to, and he's a proficient enough passer. He made plays with his arms, but his ability to extend plays, especially when they're bringing pressure, I mean, they just couldn't get to him. Like, they would bring a blitz, and he'd see it, and then he'd roll out to the right, run for a first down, and those are just not only are they drive extenders for the offense, they're just momentum killers, and they just demoralize your defense. You're like, we cannot get to this guy. But two touchdowns passing, one on the ground. I mean, he made plays when he had to, and that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do as a quarterback. It's not always going to be pretty, but shout out to him. And how about Penny Boone? That guy's a monster. That dude is massive. I wonder why he's one of the top rushers in the country.
Yeah, he didn't have a ton. He didn't carry it a ton on Saturday. At least it didn't feel like it.
You want to know why I think?
Because Miami's defense is Miami's
Ty
front seven
Wise and Matt Solopek.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Toledo's back end is very good, but Miami's front end on defense is stout, man. And we knew they were stout when they played Miami of Florida. But yeah, Ty Wise, that kid's all over the field. I mean, we talked about it pregame. We did our little routine of y'all were saying, Sprouse, who's the guy? Who's the guy? And when they came out on that first possession, I was like, 10 on Miami is your guy, and that's Ty Wise. That dude was all over the place, man, and filled every gap that halfway opened up quickly. So Toledo couldn't get anything going, especially in that second half, and that's why Miami they had 3 opportunities in the fourth quarter to drive down and win that game, and they just couldn't do it. Couldn't get anything going. So anyway, we don't want to spend too much time on that, but again, shout out to everybody in Oxford that showed us a heck of a time, all the people we met at the tailgate, all the administration, coaches, everything that helped us out. We had an incredible time. Who is it time to start paying attention to at this group of 5 level that we have not been paying attention to for the most part this season? Jeff, I'm going to start with you. Give me a player, give me a team, give me somebody you're jumping on the bandwagon for.
This is the team we got to start keeping an eye out for.
Or jumping off, by the way.
No, I'm just going to put a team that I'm not quite on the bandwagon, but I might be 1 foot in. They got a tough stretch coming up, but keep an eye out for Rice. Rice is playing some really, really good football right now. JT Daniels is having a hell of a season, and they're going to face their toughest stretch coming up. But they're 2-1 in conference, 4-3 in the year. If they can win at 1, if not 2 of these games, they're in the driver's seat in the American Conference to have a really, really good shot. Now, if they happen to run the table, because offensively they can score with anybody. So their next stretch is they're Tulane at home, which is going to be tough. They're our number 1 in our power pool. Then they have SMU at home. If they're not too beat up from that Tulane game, I think they have a shot to win. I think it's going to be very hard to score against Tulane's defense. But I think that SMU game at home is a very winnable game for Rice. And if they win that game, then they go on the road to San Antonio. That's a tough 3-game stretch. But if they can pick off 1, maybe 2 of those, Rice is top contender for that American championship.
It's a big if, Jeff.
It's a big if, but they're playing good ball.
Tip, what do you think?
So this is the team that we were on the wagon at the beginning of the year and then fell off the wagon for a little bit. But now I'm back on the bandwagon, and that's South Alabama.
I thought you were going to say South Florida, Tip.
I was leaving that one for you, Sprouse. I was leaving
Alabama,
that one for
dude.
you. South Alabama, I know it's Monroe and Southern Miss, but they've scored 110 points in the last 2 weeks. And when you're beating teams 55-7, 55-3, that gives you momentum. That gives you the whole team. Defense is playing well. Offense is putting up 55 points a game. They have some very tough Sun Belt matchups coming up. They got Louisiana at home. They got Troy on the road. They got Arkansas State at home, Marshall at home, and at Texas State. So very difficult schedule remaining, but they only have 1 conference loss. They're 2-1 in the conference right now. They control their own destiny, and they still have a chance to win the division. So it's a team to start looking out for. Again.
I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. That's going to be a monster game when they play Troy in a couple weeks. But I'm going to stay in the Sun Belt. I'm going to go Sun Belt East And I got a team that, it's probably the one team in the Sun Belt that preseason we didn't talk about hardly at all. That is the Monarchs of Old Dominion. They've only got one conference loss to Marshall. They play everybody close, no matter who it is, whether it was Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, or Texas A&M Commerce. It's going to be a one-score game no matter what. But they just came off either on a 2-game Sun Belt winning streak. Now they do play James Madison on Saturday, so we're going to find out a lot. But nobody's talking about Old Dominion. They only got one conference loss. They're right there in the thick of it in the East. They still got to play Coastal, Georgia Southern, and Georgia State. So they got another one that's got a real tough stretch. But they got the win against App State. They barely lost to Marshall, who was playing a lot better earlier in the year. But Old Dominion, just look out. We knew they would have a good defense. We knew they had one of the better defensive players in the country, really. But they're starting to put it together, and they play up to just about anybody. They do play down, which is the scary thing. So look out for Old Dominion. They might upset one or two other people this year and really screw up that East. But is anybody off any bandwagons? You guys off any? I mean, I don't want to say that I'm off the Miami University, but it's going to be tough for them without Gabbert. So unfortunately for them, you're going to have probably the Bobcats of Ohio are probably going to win that game this week, and they're going to be right back in the driver's seat, which, of course, would confirm my preseason prediction of the MAC championship of Toledo versus Ohio. So I am looking good. By the way, have you guys checked have you guys checked what we said preseason? See how you're doing? Championship predictions and dark horse predictions?
Championships, I'm looking pretty rough, but I had some dark horse calls that are still looking very, very promising. With
Are you looking rough? Let me go through these.
I mean,
now.
UTSA is
Yeah,
they're starting
You're
to
in
heat
it.
up.
They're undefeated in the conference.
No, I know.
Well, let me
San Jose
hold
State,
on.
I was way off.
Let me pull these up. So let's go Sun Belt here. Tip, you said Troy over Coastal with App State as a dark horse. I think Troy is a pretty good pick. Your other two, got some work to do. I said Marshall over South Alabama with Georgia State and Georgia Southern as dark horses. I feel really good about everything except for my champion at this point. Murph, you said Coastal over South Alabama with Texas State as your dark horse. Coastal's got some work to do. Texas State's a great pick for a dark horse. The South looks good in the West. And then Swag said Troy over App State with Southern Miss as the dark horse. I mean, Troy looks like a good pick. App State, Southern Miss, not so much. In the American, you guys both said UTSA over Tulane. Tip had North Texas as a dark horse. I mean, not bad. I mean,
Not
hell, they
bad.
almost beat Tulane. Murphy had Temple as a dark horse.
Rough.
Not quite. I had SMU as champion with UTSA as runner-up. I mean, I feel real good about SMU getting there at this point.
Yeah.
And then I had FAU as my dark horse. Not bad. And then Swag had Tulane over UTSA with Memphis as a dark horse.
That's good.
Although that's a pretty good
Yeah.
one. Mountain West, boy, oh boy. Well, me, Tip, and Jesse all had Boise State winning it, so that doesn't look good. But Tip and I both had Air Force as runner-ups. Pretty good pick. Tip had San Jose State as dark horse. I had UNLV as a dark horse. Not bad. Jesse had San Jose State as a runner-up and Colorado State as a dark horse. San Jose State still is kind of in it, but you had San Jose State to win it, Jeff. Boise runner-up and Wyoming as a dark horse.
That's a good
dark
one.
horse pick.
Yeah, that's
a
good.
good one. And then, Tip, you had Ohio over Toledo. NIU as a dark horse. Not bad. NIU starting to make some noise. I had Toledo over Ohio with Buffalo as a dark horse. Look out for Buffalo now. Murph, you had Ohio over Toledo with Akron. Alex Shear had Miami over Toledo. And then Jesse had NIU over Miami with Akron as a dark horse. You know, hey, not bad. We did all right.
We're
I
in the
think
ballpark.
preseason.
A lot of them.
We did pretty good on most of them. Conference USA, we're off on that, guys. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about well, I mean, not really. We all had either Western or Liberty winning it, so we're there. No, you had UTEP as your runner-up. You actually had Western to win it over UTEP with New Mexico State as your runner-up. Not bad.
Oh, you're my dark horse, you mean?
Or yeah, dark horse. And then I had Western. Me and Tip both had Western over Middle. Boy, not good. Tip had La Tech as a dark horse. I had Sam Houston. Hey, listen, Sam Houston's good. All right, they're
a good club.
They're going to win.
They will.
They're going to win this week.
Yeah.
And Jesse had Liberty over Western, but he also had Liberty as his dark horse. So I'm not sure why we allowed that to happen. But so anyway, not bad. We did pretty good halfway through the year. We're all still alive, relatively alive. But anyway, all right, we got to start talking about these games real quick. So in the American Conference, Navy lost to Air Force. That's another one. Let me tell you something. Air Force, Bo Richter, their defensive end, outside linebacker type, is the guy to start watching out for. That guy is just all over the place, and then especially against Navy running that offense. I mean, they couldn't do anything. Navy could not do anything offensively.
Sprouts 124 yards of total offense
for Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and here's the crazy thing about it, man, is that game was that game. Air Force only had 10 points until real late, and then they had a pick six at the end of the game. So
yeah, and Larrier played.
Larry, we got to talk about this, Jeff. How many, is it just the group of five level where, day of the game comes and you're just like, this guy was supposed to be out indefinitely and he's playing. And then on the other hand, you got the Marshall game where the kickoff comes and they're like, yeah, by the way, Rasheen Ali's out. And we're like, when did he get hurt? I mean, are we missing something here? Is it just because
I think
there's less media coverage or what?
I think it's a combination of less media coverage, and maybe some of these coaches are trying to take a page out of Bill Belichick's playbook where he puts half the team on the injury report, and then he just decides to play guys and not play guys. I don't know. It's frustrating because especially in the betting side of things, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna bet this game, and then all of a sudden Jacob Zeno doesn't play. So
yeah, I don't get it. But yeah, Larrier played, and I mean he threw it well. Of course, he did have. I mean, their one touchdown was like a 90-yard bomb, so stats are going to be a little bit inflated because of that. But I think he was 4 or 5. Throwing the ball, he ran it a few times. So Air Force still rolling. Now I wonder,
barely covered. Wasn't it 10.5?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, or 11, 10.5, 11.
10.5.
The under hit though.
Yeah, that under hit. We should. Is that what we said? We didn't even.
No, we talked about it though because it was such a low over under. I think you made the comment that the under would probably still hit.
Well, what can I say? North Texas gave Tulane a little scare. Now I'm not gonna hold that against Tulane because Tulane was up. Well, I mean, they were up big. They were up 21-0. So
the half.
I'm not gonna hold that against them, but yeah, they got a little scare there at the end of the game. But
and you got to give credit to Chandler Rogers. I mean, he stepped up in that second half. It goes 343 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, scored 28 points in that second half. And then Michael Pratt does what he needs to do, 4 total touchdowns, runs one in at the end of the game to put him up, and that was the end of it. But, good teams find ways to win games, when they have situations like that. But, shout out to North Texas for scoring all those points.
Yep. And then Memphis, I mean, we talked about it. They got all over UAB, but Zeno didn't play. Memphis came out strong though. And that's what we've been waiting on them to do, and they haven't done. So good on them for coming out strong, 45-21. Charlotte gets in the win column, Jeff. Biff Poggi, he was eating hot dogs on Friday night, winning games on Saturday. Man, ECU is a mess right now. But it's funny. I've actually seen fans coming out in support of Mike Houston, ECU's coach, and they are having a bad season. So I'm not sure.
It's just got no quarterback, man. They're one-dimensional. They can't throw the ball. They played 2 guys, Alex Finn and Mason Garcia. I mean, Garcia had 19 yards passing, 4 of 14. Flynn, was 11 and 18, a little bit better, but 69 yards. He ended up a touchdown, but they lost a lot last year. It's a lot to replace that. Not every team, can do that. So they got some work to do.
Yeah. And then South Florida Bulls, they're back 24-21 going on the road in Connecticut. They were down pretty big too. Comeback win for South Florida. So good win for them. And then UTSA, we got all over FAU. UTSA is just firing on all cylinders right now, just in time.
Quietly.
Yeah. So they started slow, got their guys healthy, other than JT Clark, and they're starting to roll. So UTSA is about to make some noise in this conference for sure. In the MAC, we already talked about Toledo and Miami. Toledo, again, they are 2 points away from being 8-0 right now, and probably a top 25 team in the country. I think if they keep winning, I think they will end up getting in the top 25 at some point this season. We'll see I think they're getting votes in the AP right now, but we'll see what else shakes out. Ohio got back in the win column over Western Michigan. Bowling Green now. It's another one. Bowling Green I know it's Akron, but 41-14. That's a big win. And I ain't even looked. I'm guilty of only looking at the top of these conferences. What's Bowling Green sitting at right now?
They're 4-4 overall. Yeah, 2-2 in the conference.
Well, I mean,
the MAC is crazy.
It always is.
Teams, they're going to have all these teams that are kind of middle of the road, 1-2 losses, and then.
Dude, look at all these scores.
Who knows?
20-17, 24-17, 20-13, 21-17, 24-6. Like, best teams in the conference, worst teams in the conference. Your games are 1- and 2-score games every single time, and the weather hasn't even gotten bad yet.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Hadn't even got to the cold weather games.
But so, yeah, and then Ball State beats Central Michigan. I don't think anybody saw that coming. NIU quietly rattling off some wins here. 20-13 over Eastern Michigan. They started running the ball a little more. They quit turning it over quite as much. They're looking good. And then Buffalo quietly has won a bunch in a row too. I know Kent State's not very good, but that was the second largest margin of victory in the weekend in the MAC. So again, we talked about Cole Snyder too, Jeff. He's now that Gabbert's out. Rourke hasn't. He's been
very up and down,
hit or miss kind of. Finn's been really good, more so. Making broken plays work. I want to say that too. At the end of that game, I mean, Toledo's O-line's got to protect better for him because he's running for his life. Now, fortunately for them, he can do it. That's the problem with some of these other guys is the pressure comes and they can't do anything about it. Finn, sometimes those plays when he gets a lot of pressure turn out to be great plays because he can run for it and get big yardage. But the MAC's starting to get interesting. You go to the Mountain West. You mentioned it, Jeff. New Mexico over Hawaii. That big is very surprising. The Lobos, that's one of the hardest. We talked about it preseason. That's one of the hardest places in the country probably to build a winning program. So even to get wins like that are huge. And then UNLV, Colorado State, that did not go the way we all thought. We thought that was going to be a ton of points. But you got to give credit to UNLV. Again, that's one of those games where you're a team that hadn't seen success in a long time and you're starting to see success. And a lot of times it's games like that where you lose. So look out for UNLV. I mean, they still keep on rolling and they have got a showdown this weekend with Fresno State. So
and Tip, you'll enjoy this. UNLV kicker Jose Pisano, 6 for 6 field goals.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hit one with 3 seconds left in the game to seal the deal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man, Colorado State has been in some wild games this year. I mean, you got to think, you go all the way back to the Colorado game and 3-4 overtimes, whatever it was, and they lose. Then you have the Boise State game from a week ago where they come back from 3 touchdowns and win on a Hail Mary. You have, the middle game was down to the wire, down to the last second, and they win. I mean, so they got to get there. I think they're close. If you're a Colorado State fan and you're looking for next year and the year after with this staff and the way that they can recruit, the way they can get the transfers, You got a really, really nice stadium. You got really nice facilities. You got a great city. They got to learn to win all of these close games, and you'll be looking at a pretty damn good team in the Mountain West for Colorado State. And then Utah State, they can't catch a break. San Diego State got all over them, Jeff. I mean, you got – or not San Diego State, sorry, San Jose State. But, 42 points, that's a lot of points, man.
Yep.
Cordero.
3 touchdowns.
Yep. Did he turn it over at all? I don't
Nope.
think he did.
He doesn't.
Yeah, and then Tip, he brought up Nevada and San Diego State. I mean, 6-0 in the Mountain West Conference.
That's
Look,
how you get excommunicated from the conference, putting up points
That's
like that.
how you get
especially
put in the
that conference.
Pac-2. I mean, that's like what was that? Iowa versus. Well, Iowa did have a game like that this weekend. What didn't Iowa win like 12-10 or something, or lose 12-10? Something ridiculous. But man, that's rough. Then Sun Belt Conference. And by the way, Jeff, if you want to shout out the chat too, I don't know if we got people in the YouTube. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, go over to YouTube. That chat's a little more lively. Kind of hang out with the squad here.
Yeah, we'll shout them out real quick. Joe Judkins is in there. Our boy Steeple PC51 is in there. Zachary Branner's in there now. Morgan Post is still in there. Got the crew in there, and they're talking. Joe Sprouse says, "Come and do a Five Guys special report at the Battle of the Belt Thursday night. ESPNU got a great seat and parking and a grouper fish fry tailgate waiting on you."
So they tailgate. He's over there at the, what do they call it, like the alumni house. And when me and Jesse went there last year, they had a fish fry and they had the hush puppies and they had all kind of stuff
Sounds
going on.
fantastic.
It was a big time. I don't know if he was there for the James Madison game, but we would have come over there. We literally, if we didn't park the car and the skies open up on us, then we had to hide under the stadium for like 3 hours.
Oh, Sprouse, speaking of James Madison, I think there's something that we need to discuss.
We do, Jeff. I'm getting tired of it. Honestly, James Madison is so good at football. They're so good. But this complaining, you know what it reminds me of, Jeff? Well, okay. It reminds me of people like, let me be careful here, Jeff. Like, we all know. No, I'm not going to get canceled for this. Like, people might get mad at me, but like, everybody knows in certain places you're not allowed to smoke marijuana. A lot of people think it's a stupid rule. It's getting to be where some places it's legal, some places it ain't. But everybody knows the rule, whether it's stupid or not. But then if you decide you want to do it and you get a citation or you get arrested, you can't, like, you don't get to say this rule is stupid. Yeah, maybe, but you knew it and you broke it. There's no way, like, this is what this James Madison thing reminds me of, because the rule is the rule. It's been the rule. It's been the rule for everybody else along the way. And it goes back to what I said 3-4 weeks ago. Like, nobody would be saying anything at all if they were not undefeated right now. If they even had one loss, nobody would be saying anything at all right now. But they're undefeated, so now everybody's wanting. I mean, you got politicians now jumping on Twitter saying stuff. I mean, guys, listen, politicians, I think you guys got some bigger fish to fry at this point, whatever town or city or state you're in. But, Jeff, you got a little inside scoop on this. So what's the rundown on this deal?
Yeah, so basically how I understand it is, most of these teams, when they make their transition up, they stay 1 year down at the lower level, and then they do their second year, in the conference that they're moving into, still knowing that they can't go to a bowl game, can't go to a championship game. But of course, as in James Madison fashion, when they came up, they couldn't be like everybody else. They had to be in the Sun Belt in year one. So everybody's complaining and saying, this team, they were able to go to a championship game in their second year of the conference, this and that. And they did their first year down at the lower level, and then their second year, they did 1 year, they had the probation in the conference, and then technically it was their third year where they were eligible. But of course, James Madison kind of pushes and forces their way into the Sun Belt in year one. They have a good year last year. Everyone's complaining they can't go to the championship game. Year 2, even better season, better than anyone could have predicted for him, really. But they're complaining. Guys, your coach knew. Your administration knew. You guys did this. You guys wanted to go up and not be able to play for a championship. I think the rule's dumb, but what it's there for is so teams aren't going up and down, up and down, up and down. So if they change it for you now, they got to change it for everybody else. It's just to avoid having teams going up and down.
Well, isn't it also because to get the conferences situated to where they can pay the bowl payouts?
Well,
and
that's
all
the other.
payouts?
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say is, and especially is in situations when it's a transition year, like that's less money, and it all comes down to money, right? That's less money to all the teams in the Sun Belt. So if you had to add another team in, and they can't play for a bowl or play for a championship, they're not like. Why would you give them a cut of the money? You're not. So I just think it's. You guys knew this going in, so
it's getting to be where, like, I know we've gotten flack on Twitter for, like, quote, hating on James Madison, but, like, I'm finally all over the James Madison bandwagon. Like, that defense is, to me, that defense is as good, if not better, than, like, Troy's defense from last year. Like, they're so good, and I'm all over it. I'm honored to watch James Madison play football. But I cannot, like, this other stuff, like, ruins it for me. It makes me want to root against it. It makes me want them to lose so that we don't have to hear about this. And I mean, like you said, like, Jacksonville State is dealing with the same thing right now, and they're not complaining about it. They got a real good chance that they could have been playing for the conference championship, but they're not complaining because they did. Last year was their first year, and they were still kind of in the FCS deal. That's what Kennesaw State is doing now. They're transitioning, but they're not transitioning. That could mean a lot of things in 2023, Jeff. But it's like, I just don't like. I don't know, man. I just don't get why, like, make a big stink out of it, and then, like, with the politicians getting in there, it's like, come on, like, the NCAA or the Sun Belt should just be like, here's the paper they signed. I mean,
that's why their appeal's been denied 3 times. So it's done. You knew what it was going in. Do I not like that part of the rule? Yes, I do, but I understand why the rule is in place, and you can't just make exceptions because you're good. Now, one thing I will say is if you play a Sun Belt schedule with what they are playing in all their non-conference games, the stats of the players should be included.
That I agree with. In
all of the top stats in the country. So I really don't understand that. I don't know why you're penalizing the players.
Yeah, well, that's real stupid because nobody's getting, like, affected by that. Other than you're going to say, somebody didn't have the most sacks in the country. It was Jalen Green had it. So I don't understand that deal. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just wish they would enjoy the season that they're having and put the spotlight on this awesome on the field season they're having, and these players playing so great. But this other stuff, it just takes the attention away from their performance on the field, and it's putting now the attention on whatever a senator or whoever's, like, making this stink. And now, the biggest thing, honestly, that has made me a little bit anti this complaining is now all of a sudden you have this mainstream sports media that hadn't mentioned the Sun Belt ever is all on this James Madison bandwagon now, and the NCAA is stupid and this and that. It's like, yeah, dude, we knew the NCAA was stupid. They've been stupid, but you signed a rule that they wrote, so that's all you could say about that. But anyway, let's stick in the Sun Belt. We could go all day on James Madison. Georgia Southern gets a nice win over Monroe. I mean, they let it get a little close, but they got a big time game on Thursday night. Old Dominion, I mentioned it. They beat App State. App State, I mean, they're just not that good, unfortunately. Like, they're just losing all these close games that in the past they probably would have won. So, App State's got, technically, I think mathematically they're still alive, but they got some work to do, and they don't have a whole lot of easy opponents coming up left. Coastal ends up getting the win over Arkansas State, but they do lose Grayson McCall. We'll see how long he's out. And then Georgia State, man, they just keep getting it done. Again, they have got a showdown in Statesboro on Thursday. And then if they get by Georgia Southern next week, they play James Madison in Atlanta. Let me just make a plea to the people of Atlanta. I mean, for God's sake, guys, you got to support this team. Like, you're not gonna get much better than this in Atlanta. Georgia Tech ain't never gonna be this good in Atlanta. Yes, the Georgia Bulldogs are probably the number one team in the country. They're probably going to win a national championship. Congratulations. But it's like an hour and a half from where Georgia State's at. Students, locals, like, you got to go support this team. You got to enjoy this season. You got to root for them because they are in the driver's seat right now to host a Sun Belt championship game if they continue to win. So y'all have got to get behind this team. And, you know, that unfortunately, Jeff, it brings me to another point that came to a lot of people were talking about it at Miami, and we know it's like the curse of the group of five is like, and we talked about it, you know, at the start of the show, like, not every team can be undefeated all the time, and you cannot let one loss just completely wipe your fan base. And I don't understand.
Sorry. Zachary Brown just said something in the group chat.
What do you have to say for himself?
That's more. I'm
Is
so
it for
sorry.
Group of Five? Is it Group of Five after dark or what?
A little bit. I think it's okay to say it, but it's about James Madison.
Oh no.
Zachary Browner says, JMU's situation is like sleeping with a prostitute, then complaining you got crabs, but paid for it knowing what you were risking.
I mean, it's a good analogy. It is.
Oh, that's great.
Oh man. Anyway, we're done talking about James Madison. But yeah, like, you know, you gotta stay with these fans. I mean, like, you know, you saw it even a little bit like at Troy, like when they lost to this James Madison team. It's like you're like, you would never do that for your quote unquote your big school team that you root for. Like, you would never ever see that.
Yeah.
You see, Alabama looked awful against Texas, but guess what? They kept selling out every game, and it just sucks that you got to win for like 3 years in a row to get a fan base to support you, and then it's like, for some reason at the Group of Five level, it's like building trust. Like, you build it for like 3 years, and then you do one wrong thing and you lose somebody's trust. It's like, yeah, you lose one game and you lose the whole fan base. But anyway. We got to get to our picks for the week. Jeff, do we have a Southern Roots radio commercial?
Sure do. Southern Roots Radio is an audio magazine rooted in Americana, curating music, culture, and sports to a stubbornly independent audience. Go check them out at southernrootsradio.com, or you can download their app on either the Apple or Google Play Store. Southern Roots Radio. Come on in and stay a while.
So before we get to our picks, shout out to Southern Roots. A couple score updates. New Mexico State has taken the lead 17-16 over La Tech with 6:20 left in the third, and Liberty's up 14-10 at the half over Western Kentucky. Two giant Conference USA games, by the way. But so our picks for the week brought to you by Southern Roots Radio. Our lock of the week, we are taking the Bobcats of Ohio -6.5 at home versus Miami. Miami without Gabbert offensively is just not the same team. And Ohio has a really good defense. Both teams have really good defenses, but we're taking Ohio -6.5 for our lock of the week. Dog of the week. I'm actually surprised that they're dogs, to be quite honest with you. But Wyoming, we are taking money line at Boise State. That's probably why they're dogs. At Boise State at +180. Is that what you guys saw it at, +180? Wyoming's 5-point underdogs in that game. That's interesting to me. And then over under, we are taking Old Dominion at James Madison under 49.5. Obviously, James Madison's defense is one of the top in the country, and then Old Dominion has a sneaky good defense. So we're going to take that under 49.5. Well, you guys want to pick some of these midweek games?
Let's do it.
We're not going to pick these Conference USA games from tonight because they're halfway done.
I think we can. I mean, New Mexico State's
they're
only
both
up
still
one.
close.
It's close games. I'll start.
Tim, wow, hey man,
Go for it.
I was gonna pick New Mexico State. I mean, they've been playing good football recently, and Diego Pavia has been very consistent recently. And I mean, this game right here, they were down 16-3 early, and they're climbing their way back in it, and they've taken the lead. So I think I'm picking them to win this game against La Tech. And then Liberty, I mean, 7-0. I'm going to keep they're undefeated. I'm going to keep picking them until they lose, even though they're at Western Kentucky. I've had this game on the TV while we've been on here. Western Kentucky, literally at the same time we were talking about like consistent kickers. Their kicker missed a 36-yard field goal, and then they just threw an interception into the end zone. So Western Kentucky with some turnovers in the first half. Liberty's looked pretty good, so I'm going to pick Liberty to win that game.
And also, they're holding, I don't know what the deal is, but they're holding Malachi Corley in check. He's got 3 catches, but only for 10 yards. So they're probably, I can tell you what they're probably doing is running the fast screen, and it ain't working. Quit running it. That's just with me not even watching it. Yeah, Tip, to be quite honest, I would have took New Mexico State, and I would have, if this wasn't a Tuesday night game, I would have brought this one up for our dog of the week because La Tech was favored in this game.
You're just saying that because they just scored again. It's now about to be 24-16.
No, it's going to be a blowout. Final score 38-16. Book it. New Mexico State. And then, yeah, I would have picked Liberty too just because Western's been a little inconsistent. I think Liberty, it's funny. Liberty and James Madison hate each other, but they're probably – Liberty, James Madison, and Coastal all hate each other, but they're all 3 probably the most hated teams in the group of 5 at the same time. I was surprised they don't all stick together. But, yeah, Liberty, I think, has got something to prove. I mean, everybody's doubting them for the conference play, but this is the best team on paper in the conference, so I think they're looking to prove something. So I would have taken the same thing. Jeff?
Yeah, for the game, I took little parlay. I had New Mexico State money line as a dog, and then for the betting purposes, I took Western Kentucky because I wanted to take 2 dogs tonight. So I think Western Kentucky comes back and wins this thing. But my son Dominic picked Liberty and New Mexico State tonight.
Smart
He took the
kid.
favorites.
That's a smart kid, yeah.
He's pretty sharp.
All right, so tomorrow night in Conference USA, you got Jacksonville State -8 on the road at FIU. Tip, what do you think?
Jacksonville State, and they cover, double-digit win. Now, both of these teams, this just goes back to how good Sam Houston State is. It haven't won a game yet, but both of these teams went to overtime with Sam Houston. So I don't know. Jacksonville State they're on a massive momentum right now after beating Western Kentucky last week. So I think they win this game pretty big.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be relatively close early. Second half, Jacksonville State pulls away. Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go Jacksonville State. I just think they're the more complete team at the moment. If Keon Jenkins, though, if he gets hot, that guy can throw it and he can run. So I think this might be a little more high scoring than people think, but I think Jacksonville State gets it done.
He looked phenomenal last week in the fourth quarter of that game. And then it all changes tomorrow night for Sam Houston Bearcats with a K.
Come on, Bearcats.
They are going to beat UTEP at home. Sam Houston, book it. Tip, you with me?
I am. I'm with you.
Yep. Murph?
No, I am not.
Yeah,
the Miners
winning the conference.
Keep it going. They take care of Sam Houston. Plus 3.5. That's got to be a lock, right? UTEP. I don't know if UTEP and
think
Locker
so.
ever should be in the same sentence, but I'm
Yeah.
taking UTEP.
Kay McConnell just, he looked so good against FIU, but just he struggled against New Mexico State. He was
It's typical. Second
15
game.
of 32, 179 yards, no touchdowns. Didn't turn the ball over, but he was just too inconsistent. And Sam Houston, I mean, we've been talking about it. They've been playing well and they've been playing close games. They just haven't sealed the deal and gotten that first win. But it's going to happen, Murph. I'm sorry that UTEP's not going to make it to the
UTEP ground
championship
game.
this year. I'm sorry.
Get the ball to Hankins.
Yeah, they do have. What's their running back? Haskins.
Hankins.
He's a hot. I mean, he's a problem. But Sam Houston's defense is pretty stout for the most part. Here's a big one, man. This is a game of the week, really. Georgia State in Statesboro at Georgia Southern. I promise you, if this game was not on a Thursday, we or I or some of us probably would have went to this game. It's pretty much a pick 'em, right? Georgia Southern -1.5 in Statesboro. Probably going to be a pretty decent. Surely it'll be a good crowd at Paulson. Tip, what do you think?
I've been going back and forth on this one because I'm with you. I think it's going to be difficult to play for Georgia State. It's going to be difficult to play at Georgia Southern. It should be a good crowd, good environment. But I've liked the way Georgia State has bounced back and played after they lost to Troy the way they did. They've been playing good football the last couple of weeks. And so I'm going to go with Georgia State to win this game at Georgia Southern.
Woo! Jeff?
It's a lot of pressure. I've really liked Georgia Southern a lot this season, but they've just been so inconsistent at times. And for a team that has been consistent, it's been Georgia State. Other than one game that Darren Granger had 2 picks, he has protected the ball. He has ran it well. Marcus Carroll is an absolute beast in the backfield. And I think that's where they take over this game. On the ground, keep that potent Eagles offense on the sideline. I think Georgia State goes on the road and gets it done.
Georgia State has won the last 3 against Georgia Southern. And this has even been with Georgia State not being as good as they are this year. However, I can't sit here and have all 3 of us pick Georgia State because then we'll all 3 look potentially really dumb. So if I take Georgia Southern, then there's at least the potential that somebody can be on here and be like, yeah, see, I told you. I'll tell you what, man, my head says Georgia State. I think they're the more physical team. I think they're the more balanced team, and they're red hot. Little interested to see what happens. They're coming off of a really close, pretty emotional game just 5 days ago, where Georgia Southern was able to coast a little bit versus Monroe. I'm just going to take Southern just because, for no reason other than I'm trying to be different. But I'm complete toss-up. FAU -4 now at Charlotte. Charlotte coming off a big win. FAU coming off a big loss. I think that FAU is going to get it done. I think they're going to cover. I think double-digit win, to be quite honest with you. Tip, what do you think?
Yeah, I think FAU wins this game. I mean, tough loss against UTSA 36-10, but that just just shows you how well UTSA has been playing and where they're at right now as far as getting everybody healthy, and they're playing their best football of the year. And again, we talked about it earlier, just how bad East Carolina's been so far this year, especially with their quarterback trouble. So I think FAU goes to Charlotte and wins this game.
Murph?
One team's coming off a loss. The other's coming off a big win, emotional win for the Charlotte 49ers. But there's not been some good things on Twitter that I've been reading with the Charlotte fan base. I don't know. I know our boy Jimmy Touchstone and the Normulants will probably be there. But I think FIU comes in, plays a lot better than they did last week.
Is there some dissension amongst the fans in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Ain't too happy with old Poggi out there racking up these L's, eating hot dogs.
I mean,
all
it's
over the
not a good
place.
look, Jeff.
It's not a good
I mean,
look.
it's not a good look. Like,
I'm not saying you can't take a picture with somebody, but
no, and I'm not saying you can't go out and eat but you probably, what's their record now? 2-6?
I think it's 2-5.
2-5? I mean, so you're like 1-5 going in there. You probably don't want to be at the, number one college bar in America eating glizzies, as the kids call them these days, but the night before a game. I mean, I guess they won, so maybe he needs to keep doing stuff like that. But
I would honestly go do that again. I mean, I'm a person of superstition, so
you're a baseball guy.
Yeah.
You guys are a weird bunch. But yeah. I don't know, dude.
If he keeps going there every Friday night and eats glizzies and they keep winning, he keeps
but he
going and
can't
eating
go-
hot dogs.
He can't. That's on the road though. That's
Yeah,
That was on the.
that guy sucked down more than one glizzy. He didn't just have one. He had a couple, about 2 or 3 of them bad boys.
Yeah,
You go find the best hot dog in Charlotte, and that's where you go eat on Friday night.
Maybe.
Or in this case, Thursday night. 'cause
Thursday
they play
night.
on Friday.
Yeah. Oh, be a good game to watch. It'd be interesting. So I want to see if that Charlotte student section is still out there getting after it for them. I hope they are. Hope they're supporting the guys. But anyway, that's all we got for picks. Jeff, how many voicemails are we sitting here looking at?
We are looking at 7. One is a 2-parter just because it was a new caller and he didn't quite know about the time limit. But I'm going to let it slide on this one since we only got 7.
How many App State?
We only got 2 App Staters.
Wow.
I think they're just
They've
so
thrown in the towel.
just so upset. They just can't even call in anymore.
Wow.
But, as always, keep the calls coming, 615-900-4286. We want your hottest take. If you need to vent, we're here for you. Play it on our next show. This was a call from the midweek game last week. Our boy, Zach Green.
What's up, guys? Zach Green here, and man, Blue Raiders gave me a scare last week. You got to give it to your boys. Vadiato slung it all over the field. Liberty's defense for most of the game did not look good in the passing game, especially not great in the run game either. And then on the other hand, Liberty's rushing game shoved the ball down your throat for 401 yards. So not much defense. Middle had some good defense at the beginning of the game. Liberty had a lockdown fourth quarter, but in between there, it was just a mess on defense for both teams. And I'm just glad Liberty could squeak out with the win. But Swagbear, I just wanted to address your comments about the officials there towards the end of the last show. Believe it or not, a lot of Liberty fans were upset about the officiating as well. On the one hand, you had what I think should have been a scooping score for Middle to put them up by 2 touchdowns where the refs missed the fumble call. And then on the other hand, there was a defensive holding that was missed that even the commentator picked up on that possibly prevented Liberty from getting a deep ball touchdown pass. It was thrown to the end zone. The receiver was not that far away from it, and they missed the defensive holding. And then going both ways, there was a couple of ticky-tack personal fouls that were called, and the referees took a long time to make decisions on some things. So I don't know that it was biased refereeing, but I do think it was poor refereeing for some of that game. But now I just want to share some information / opinion on that situation with the bowl ineligibility from that team up in the Valley. On the one hand, it's really sad because you'd like to see them get to a bowl game and maybe beat a Power 5 team. That'd be exciting as a Group of 5 fan. But on the other hand, that's the rule that's been in place. It's a 2-year transition. That's what everybody does. Where the confusion comes from, though, is the fact that JMU played both of their 2 years in the FBS, whereas most other teams like Liberty, Jack State, Sam Houston, Kennesaw, they played 1 season in FCS and then 1 in FBS. According to Chris Vanini, he does a really good job of covering the Group of 5 for the Athletic, in my opinion. He said that the Sun Belt gave JMU enough games to have an FBS season last year. And so JMU is playing both of their seasons in the FBS, but it's still a 2-year transition. And you've got to have a black and white rule. And the rule is in place, according to Vanini, because they want to discourage teams that aren't ready from moving up and make sure that the teams are moving up have a chance to get ready. And obviously that doesn't apply to JMU right now. They're killing it. So maybe they should consider adding a more nuanced rule that's still black and white, but it accounts for this type of success they're having. But you need a black and white rule, and I would hesitate to want the NCAA to go away or get out of it. Nobody said that, but there's been some criticisms of the NCAA. I would hesitate with that a little bit because if the Power Five takes over, we're out of this thing. They're going to throw us to the curb. So just think about that. Go Flames. Flames over everybody.
Appreciate it, Zach, as always. And yeah, I mean, it's what we talked about earlier about the whole James Madison ordeal.
Yeah. Well, and you,
that.
I mean, they're the only team that's really been able to do it in their first year, but you'd like to see, I mean, it's not typical what they're doing.
No.
So you probably don't want a quote unquote FCS school to come up and play in the Sun Belt or whatever conference and just get smoked. I mean, I don't know. It's not happening with Jackson State either. So I don't know. I mean, anyway, but yeah, the rule's a rule.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Zach. And yeah, you guys narrowly got away from our Blue Raiders, so you're welcome. All right, let's get to our 2 App State voicemails. Stu's right.
Hey, boys. Stu's right on Twitter. Once again, hold on to the fucking football. We got a chance to put the fucking game away. 3rd and 1. Put the ball on the ground. Excuse me, 2nd and 1. Put the ball on the ground. I fall on it, and it gets everything off. It gets everything off. Out of rhythm, everything. And then we wind up dropping another third down, and we got to punt it away. A ball that hit him in both hands. And then we've got to punt it away. Also, how in the was that not targeting on the last drive? How is that not targeting? How is it not targeting? 2 great balls thrown into the end zone. Got to catch one of them. Also, on the last play, the corner is pulling his damn jersey. You can see it plain as day on the replay. Got to catch the football. Huge shout out to NFL Network and how shitty their broadcast was, by the way. I love not knowing where the first down marker is. The first quarter, they completely missed 2 plays. To the hell with them, too. Is the season over?
I don't know.
Oh, that's how it ended?
That's how it ended.
It's not over, but
they need a whole lot of help.
You're gonna have to win out, and that ain't gonna be easy by itself. And then you're gonna need some other stuff to shake out. But
he's right about those refs though, and those missed calls.
That targeting was bad. Yeah. I mean, that was, if I've ever 9 times out of 10, I hate the targeting. I feel like they could let it slide out. If there ever was a targeting, that was it.
Yeah, targetings have been bad all year. They got to look at the rule.
They got to do something, man. But then he's right, because we were watching those last 2. They weren't really Hail Marys, just kind of threw a deep ball, but both of them they almost had.
Yeah.
So
appreciate it, Stu, brother. Hang in there, man. It's brighter days ahead, I think. I hope, for your sake. And Andrew, App fan.
Hey, Group of 5 guys. Andrew here. I just wanted to call and say that we are now 3-9 in 1-score games. We as in App. But 3-9 in 1-score games in the last 2 seasons. So that's a little disappointing, and I know that y'all are big Sean Clark fans, but I think it's time for him to go. But that's all I want to say with that 3-9 statistic. Maybe we can turn around, but once it gets down to a 1-score game, I just know we're going to lose. Tonight was disappointing on all ends, and something needs to change. I want to know what y'all think needs to change.
Floor is open.
I don't know what needs to change. I mean, you like, I've never really been one to blame coaches for like some of the stupid stuff, like the dumb turnovers, dumb penalties, drop passes, like all that is stuff that I know every single team in the country works on all the time. But like at the same time, like when you have kind of those stupid things and unlucky things happen, you're like looking for, everybody's always looking for that scapegoat. Like it had to be somebody's fault, and it can never just be like a little bad luck or, I mean, you can work on holding the ball all day long, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one thing that's just gonna fix everything. I'm with you, Sprouse. Sometimes you have a bout of bad luck, and they are 3-9, like you said, in those one score games, those tight games. But I think the key is not getting into those games that honestly end up going to the flip of a coin. So they just got to play better early on. I thought Aguilar, he's been playing pretty well. So I think that's a bright spot, you know, for the rest of the season and going into next year. And then you should have Berger at some point coming back. So, I
Well,
don't know.
perfect example of the close game situation is we talked about it like 2 years ago. NIU, remember, they won the MAC, but they had, what was it, like 7 wins, less than, a touchdown or less. And then, the following year, they lost all of
them
those
all.
games. Same coach, same core players, same schedule. One year they won them all and they won the conference. Next year they lost them all and they got finished dead last in the conference. And now this year they're kind of, right back in the thick of things. But, it's just, yeah, dude.
Something I do see, at least from this last game against Old Dominion, is offense has got to find a way to get, to stay on the field for, and eliminate these 3 and outs. And I'm just kind of looking here. You had, in the first half, you had a 4-play punt, and then you had a 3 and out. And then in the second half, 5 plays and a punt, and then another 3 and out. And you're putting your defense right back out there on the field, and they're exhausted. And that does not help, because obviously, that keeps the other team in the game and creates these close games. And you're not doing your defense any favors by putting an entire defense right back out on the field.
Well, I mean, you also too, and we'll move on to the next one, but you don't have your best player on offense.
Yeah.
Like that.
That doesn't help.
What's the saying? It's not all X's and O's. It's a lot of times Jimmys and Joes. Like, you're out your best guy. That has a lot to do with it. That guy can do things that other people can't. It's why he's the starter. So get him back on the field and get healthy.
Jimmy
I think.
Joe, Nate Noel. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but appreciate the calls as always. Let's get to our next caller. It's a new caller, Nathan Stiles. He's got a 2-parter.
What's up, guys? This is Nathan Stiles calling in for the first time. Former Troy Trojan, not a football player, of course, though. Yeah, I've been commenting on you guys' Instagram a lot lately. And I'm just going to say what y'all have been saying, which is that Troy is looking very reminiscent of last year. Yeah, those guys are going off. Hold on. Sorry for the break there. I'm actually at work. Apologize for that. But I'm at work, which I'm in Murfreesboro, believe it or not, right down the road from you guys, Station 1 Fire Department, actually. So I'm literally a mile from MTSU. I'm at work right now, so I had to pause for a second there. Anyway, so what I was going to say is the defense looks phenomenal now. You have about 5 maybe 6 All-American type candidates, at least, all Sun Belt. Juvenore's going off, like you said. Solomon is absolutely living up to that freshman hype from a few years ago. TJ Jackson's finally back in the mix a little bit. He's kind of playing sporadically, and every time he gets in there, he does crazy things. The D tackles look good. You can't move the ball. And if you do move the ball and you get in the red zone or anywhere close, you're probably getting it taken away. So that defense is, if you ask me, the best in the group of 5, and it's arguably one of the best in the country. I would say it's inarguably one of the best in the country. Michigan's defense is outstanding right now, obviously having given up more than 10 points. Well, only 10 points one time. But the offense looks good now, too. All the receivers are getting in the mix. You got literally 4 guys that are pretty decent playmakers. Chris Lewis has the best hands in college football, and he can just get bigger than you, get higher than you. And then, hey, a little double move last week. Well, 2 weeks ago, before the off week, made a play, caught a deep ball, not just over someone's head, but actually by beating them. So that was good to see. Kamani Vidal is the best running back in the nation. I think he is going to complete the season as the number 1 yards leader. Obviously, he is now. And should be an All-American. I think that's clear as day. Gunner out there gunning the ball. Looking pretty good. Much more efficient than years past. Not giving the ball away very much. Nathan Styles again. Hopefully not getting interrupted this time. Now that I know you'll have a time limit, I'm going to try to keep it brief. Shout out to Domenico's. I realized, and I'm sorry that I'm blanking on your name, but
Appreciate you, brother.
Best sandwiches in town. Eat it at work pretty often. But yeah, Troy looking like the best group of 5 teams, if you ask me, period. I do have a question I would like to throw out there. It was posed to me, and I would like you guys to discuss a little bit. If you put a defense like Troy's against some of the best offenses in the nation, what do you think those teams would score? I think if you throw out Kansas State, and I literally heard y'all just say this on last week, but if you throw out early year not knowing who you are yet, and Coach Summerall said it a bunch of times, they had no identity early in the year, but they do now, and they're phenomenal. I left out 2 of the best corners in all group of 5 earlier, talking about All-American candidates. But yeah, if you put Troy's defense up against some of the best offenses, what would they score? And I'm personally saying there's not a team in the nation that at this point right now, with Troy's defense playing the way they are, would score over 30 without some mistakes. Especially when you just don't get the ball against Troy. Kamani possesses the ball. Damian Taylor looks phenomenal as a number 2, RB2. Asa Martin, you got all those guys. I mean, you just don't get a chance to get the ball back. As long as we don't give it away, which we have been pretty suspect and subject to fumbles, that's been our big issue. But as long as we don't give the ball away, teams just don't get a chance to even score, much less, get in rhythm, and move it down the field against the best group of 5 defense. So let me know what you think. Go Troy. Sunbelt champions again, 2023. And skill-wise, capability-wise, should be in a New Year's Six bowl. Probably won't happen because we'll be 11-2, I think, at that point. And let me know what you think about the Texas 8 game this week. I think we got it in the bag, but TJ Finley at home, that is going to be a tougher contest. And then down the stretch, UL and South Alabama are really the only test coming in. I think the East is let the Sun Belt down, and we're gonna take that championship game pretty easily from home. So let me know. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Nathan. Always like the new callers.
I think we need more people to, say, hey, hold on a second. I know your house is on fire. I need to talk about Troy football for the next 3 minutes.
I agree.
He's like, I'm at work. He's like, I'm at work. Hold on. Yeah, I got it. Man, dude, I don't. I'm trying to walk through like some of your top offenses in the country. I mean, hell, last year
first one that comes to mind is
UTSA,
Washington.
yeah, Washington, but Washington looked pretty pedestrian this weekend.
Yeah.
And that's the Washington. I'm trying to think. Washington, Oregon. Got to put Colorado in there, right?
No.
Man, yeah, 30 points is a lot of points. I probably wouldn't have went that high. It's tough to say. I mean, like, I think what'd they give up to UTSA in the bowl game last year? Not much. UTSA's offense last year was one of the best in the country.
Yeah, their biggest thing is they're guys up front. They just get after the quarterback. So even if you are, a passing team, like, they have the ability to put pressure on you on the outsides and in your face, which is the hardest pressure as a quarterback, in my opinion, to deal with. So, I mean, they're always going to, affect the game from that standpoint, and then you can't run on them either. So,
yeah,
it's just tough sledding.
UTSA scored 12 points in that Cure Bowl last year.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
appreciate it.
Not
Nathan.
a lot. Hopefully they get a chance at a Power 5 school, and I mean, it's probably not going to be one of the quote best offenses, but we'll see what happens. By the way,
I mean, it's a true test for him, like he mentioned. True.
Hold it up, a
big
little
time.
There you go.
Yeah. Speaking of Troy, got the rocking the Trojans Together NIL Collective shirt today. Very exclusive. I may be one of the only people in the world that has one of these right now. So.
Troy's playing against good offense this week on the road. So,
you're gonna find out.
Big test.
Yeah, that ain't no pushover. My Bobcats are coming. We coming. But
I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I don't know what's the over under on that game. Let's see. 52.5.
Yeah.
Take the over.
I think so. But anyways, keep them coming. Appreciate the Domenico shout out as well. Appreciate your business. Let's get to our next couple. We got 3 left. Let's go to Jim Cowart.
Group of 5 guys, good morning. This is Jim Cowart calling you on my morning commute. Hope you're all doing well. Exciting weekend this past weekend, and Georgia Southern football, we came away with a victory, 38-28 over ULM. Sloppy win, but win's a win. A lot of good things I saw in the first half. Second half was just guys came out flat. We're making mental mistakes, but again, we're a rebuilding team. You're going to see lumps like that throughout the season. That's just kind of facts. ULM is not a bad football team. Their record does not indicate what type of team they are. And hats off to those guys for a good game. The redshirt freshman quarterback that came in for them, Blake Murphy, that kid is going to be a handful for the West in years to come. So it's exciting to have young players like that coming up and watching them play. That kid played very well. Both teams made mental mistakes. It was a tale of turnovers, it felt like. Another good thing I saw was Jalen White getting the carries, and man, did he have a good day. I think he got like 167 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns under his belt. So it's good to see him in there and playing healthy. We got a big game this week, Thursday night. I'm going. It is an hour and 43-minute trip for me. Front door to parking lot. So there's no excuse for any of my other fellow Eagles to get out there, especially you guys in the Statesboro, Savannah area. Students, there's nothing going on Thursday night except for the football game. Get your ass out there. All right, everybody. Well, just wanted to call in, and hope y'all have a great week. And I hope everybody is healed up, especially Grayson McCall. Saw that he took a nasty hit, but it's good to see that he was released from the hospital. So prayers for him and a speedy recovery, and I hope he's doing well. Y'all have a great week, guys, and go Eagles.
Appreciate it, Jim. Always appreciate your calls, checking in with us.
No excuses.
None.
No excuses to not be there. Thursday night, Statesboro, Georgia. There's absolutely not a better recipe for success that I would look for as a student than to tailgate for, a little bit, not a long tailgate because it is a weeknight, and go to a football game and then immediately take just about 100 steps over to the Blue Room post game and try to celebrate a victory. No excuse.
None. Let's get to our next Georgia Southern fan, Josh Bevel.
Group of 5 guys. Josh Bevel here, calling in from the beautiful, well, not really beautiful, Macon, Georgia. It's all right. Beautiful day, but town's not that beautiful. But anyway, so much happier voicemail from this week from, last week. But, Georgia Southern still's got a lot of stuff to clean up. 38-28 win over ULM. Defense did not really have a good ball game except Marquise Watson-Trent. He had 14 total, 6 solos, and a sack, 3 tackles for loss, and a pass deflection. Davis Brand had a good game, but, 240, 2 scores, 2 touchdowns, got to clean up turnovers. Jalen White, like I said last week, calling in, we got to run the ball more. And what happens when we run the ball? Seriously, 26 carries for Jalen White, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. Why have we not been using this guy like we should? And Caleb Hood had a great game. Gervin Burgess had a great game. Defense, if we want to be able to stop Georgia State and their quarterback is damn good. This is one of the better Georgia State teams we have seen in probably the last decade, honestly, or maybe ever for them. Who knows? But, Granger, dog. Absolute dog for Georgia State. The guy's a beast. So we gotta clean up some stuff on defense, but big game this Thursday night in Statesboro. Eagles -2.5. I hope you guys like it. Swag Bear, I know you're big on Georgia State, man, but they're going down. They're going down. We're about to have a packed house in Paulson. Thank you guys. Take care. Group of 5 guys. Love y'all. Hail Southern.
Appreciate it, Josh.
Y'all ever been to Macon, Georgia?
I passed through Macon, Georgia.
Passed through it, yeah.
Just asking, just curious. I've been through there a few times. It's leaves some room to be desired, as they say. But anyway, that's all I had for it. You got Pack Paulson.
Big point. Yeah, Pack Paulson.
No, I didn't have a big point. I just Macon is a tough spot, man. Home of Mercer.
Where you make
home of the Mercer Bears. By the way, they'll probably be in the Conference USA within the next couple of years. I guarantee it.
Before long. All right, let's get to our last caller. Steeple _PC_51.
Hey, Group of 5 guys, how you doing? Steeple _PC_51. Well, you can see that I have a little bit more pep in my voice. That's 2 in a row, guys. I keep telling you guys, I'm feeling like Nostradamus. We're coming.
Steepledamus.
I'm calling it. We're coming. Next victim, Marshall. I don't know what their situation is. Hope Ali plays. Want them at their best, of course. Not sure if we'll be at our best, but we damn sure gonna give our best. Still not sure about the situation with Grayson. Took a terrible cheap shot, and call it as it is. Disappointed in Butch Johnson because, I know you want to go back and look at the tape or whatever, but that was a full slide. That was a lunge. That was a helmet. It's one of them things. If the ref don't call it didn't happen, well, it happened, and that was horrible. But looking forward to Marshall. Want to give a shout out to Grant and JMU. Looking very good. It's a shame. I wonder if anyone from Georgia State listens because they are on an exciting run. Be 5-1 in the conference. Pass off to ODU. I hate it for my two buddies, man. Stu, Terry, man, you know what? I need to stop pulling for your teams. Because I guess every time I try to pull for them secretly, y'all get busted in the mouth. Man, I hate it. I hate it for you. I know y'all calling. Can't wait to hear you. I got your support. Hey, man, look, y'all got my number. You know, if you need a shoulder to lean on, just give me a call, something. I'll help you guys out. But I don't want to laugh. No, I'm sorry. I'm really, I apologize. Because y'all got, look, hey, Marshall, hey, love the group of 5 guys. Love this forum. Man, see y'all at Godway.
He's the best, dude.
He definitely does have a little more pep in his step.
He does. A couple wins will do for you.
So what? I mean, we're gonna see what the scenarios are right now. So the Coastal's got a lot of work to do because they lost to both State and Southern.
Right.
So they gotta hope.
They need some help.
Are those are their only 2 losses though in the conference, right?
Correct.
For now. So they gotta hope that whoever, boy, because even
they play Old Dominion. Old Dominion's 3-1.
Yeah,
they play
so
them.
knock down them.
But they need help. I mean, they need
But
Southern
you're gonna have
and
to hope,
Georgia State to lose
and then lose again.
and lose again.
So
Yeah.
whoever
Georgia
wins
State's
that
gonna
game,
be-
you're gonna need to lose twice, 2 more times.
Right.
Unless there's like some wild, which this is probably going to be the case. You're going to have a tiebreaker where everybody's got 2 losses.
Yeah.
Except James Madison, they'll be undefeated.
And Coastal still has to play James Madison too.
Coastal's gonna ruin James Madison's perfect season at the last game. I'm just calling it.
Yeah, that East is going to be. That East is going to
crazy.
be. You have 2 or 3 losses is going to win the East probably.
But it starts this week for Coastal against Marshall.
Yeah, they got to win. If you're Coastal or if you're App State or if you're Marshall, you got to win. You probably got to win out.
Yep.
But anyway, that's it. That's all we got, Jeff.
That's it.
That's all we got for you guys tonight. Group of 5 guys. We appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all on the live chat. Talking some trash, helping us out when we missed something, but just throwing out your stuff there. We appreciate that on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. We need you to go on all the social platforms. Follow us at Group of 5 Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcast, or Spotify, wherever you stream podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a 5-star rating and a review. Tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can go to group5guys.com and get you some Group of 5 Guys swag. We will catch you Saturday morning for your new pregame show. The first and only Saturday morning live pregame show dedicated specifically to the Group of 5. We'll catch you Saturday morning. Out of here.